Well, hello everybody. Hope you're doing well. This is Chaplain Ken again. Here we are almost at the middle of September, and September's just flying by. We've kind of blown through the summer, some very hot months, and here we are now right around the middle of September, and the weather's moderated a little bit. Things have cooled down. The weather's cooler, nights are cooler. So I hope you're able to get out and enjoy some of that cool weather. You know, today I wanted to talk a little bit about faith, and I want to do that by looking at the book of Hebrews and also some out of the book of Judges in the Old Testament. Specifically, I wanted to look at chapter 11 in Hebrews because it's become known as the faith chapter of the Bible. And in that one chapter, it tells about people in the Old Testament who lived by faith even when life didn't go the way they thought it was going to go. Now, I bet you can identify with that, because life doesn't always go the way that we think it's going to go, does it? So we're told in Hebrews chapter 11 how a number of people lived by faith. We're told that Abel, by faith, offered a sacrifice to God that was better and more appropriate than his brother Cain's. We're told by faith that Noah, by faith, again, constructed an ark that saved his family and really saved the whole world. We're told that by faith, Abraham left his home country to go to another country where God promised him an inheritance, a new inheritance. We're told that by faith, Sarah was able to conceive a child when she was nearly 100 years old. That's hard to believe, isn't it? Having a baby at 100 years old. We're told by faith, Isaac was able to bless his sons Jacob and Esau for their lineage that would come out of them. And of course, when we follow that lineage, we see that Jesus came out of that. We're told that by faith, Moses, when he learned he was truly Jewish, he no longer would identify as an Egyptian because he had been raised by an Egyptian mother. And we're told that by faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after the Israelites had marched around them 7 times. So we're given this list of people who lived by faith and some of the outcomes of their faith. And then we're given a small list of names of people, some of them that we scarcely know. This is what Hebrews 11 verses 32 and 33 say. And what more shall I say? For time will fail me to tell of Gideon, of Barak, of Samson, Jephthah, of David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, enforced justice, obtained promises, and stopped the mouths of lions. So in that little list of names there, you and I, we've probably heard of Gideon. I think most of us have heard of Samson. We've heard of David, obviously, and Samuel we've heard of also. But what about this other guy? His name was Barak, B-A-R-A-K. And why does the Bible even mention him in the book of Hebrews chapter 11, that great chapter on faith? Well, I think by looking at Barak, we might get some insights why they were mentioned in that faith chapter in the book of Hebrews. Now, Barak, he's mentioned in the book of Judges in the Old Testament. And that's where I'd like to share a little bit with you today, is from the book of Judges. I want to begin Judges chapter 4, verses 4 and 5. This is what it says. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel at the time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the people of Israel came to her for judgment. Now, Deborah was a judge in Israel, in what we might consider a modern-day judge would be like. She would listen to a case of disagreement or a crime and then provide justice by judging a case. Now I want to continue on in the book of Judges in the next verse, Judges 4 verse 6, and this is what it says. She sent and summoned Barak, the son of Benoam, from Kadesh Naphtali, and said to him, Has not the Lord, the God of Israel, commanded you? Go, gather your men at Mount Tabor, taking 10,000 of the people of Naphtali and the people of Zebulun. So in some way, I'm not sure how, but in some way, Deborah knew that God had commanded Barak to raise an army to go to battle. And it appears that Barak kind of has refused to do what God has called him to do. And it seems like Deborah is holding Barak accountable for disobeying God. I think this is part of the reason why Barak is mentioned in the faith chapter of Hebrews. Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, all did great things for God. God used them in very powerful ways, but they all also had flaws. They all made mistakes, and all of them had times when they didn't live by faith. Now I want to continue on in the book of Judges, chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. This is what it says. And I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you by the river Kishon, with his chariots and his troops, and I will give him into your hand. Barak said to her, if you will go with me, I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go. So when I read that, I think to myself, do you see what Barak's refusal to live by faith in what God has commanded them to do is? Deborah contrives a plan to defeat Sisera. Sisera is the commander of the Canaanite army. But Barak says to Deborah, the only way he'll go into battle is if Deborah goes with him. And I think Barak knows that Deborah has God on her side, and he wants her by his side. You know, it's not enough for Barak that God has commanded him to go into battle. He believes he needs more, as if God isn't enough. Now we continue on in the next verse, Judges chapter 4, verse 9. Deborah calls out Barak and then pronounces judgment for his failure to follow through on what God has commanded him to do. This is what it says. And she said, I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, the road on which you are going will not lead to your glory, for the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. Then Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. So what's the judgment that Deborah passes on Barak here? Here it is. He'll go into battle, but he'll not get credit for the upcoming victory because of his lack of faith. God's going to defeat Sisera, the commander of the Canaanite army, but he's going to do it using a woman. And it appears that Barak is going to feel humiliated. He'll appear weak. He'll probably feel some shame that a woman had to do what God had commanded him to do. And that's exactly what happens. Deborah leads them into battle. Barak does fight in the battle, but a woman named Yael kills Sisera, the commander of the Canaanite army. You know, Barak was just one of many people mentioned in the Bible whose flaws included the fact that they sometimes didn't live by faith. And it's important that we know about them so that we can learn from them. In fact, I'm guessing that's why God gave much of the Bible so that we could learn from those who had gone before us. In fact, the Apostle Paul speaks to this in the book of Romans. Romans chapter 15, verse 4. This is what the Apostle Paul writes. For whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through the encouragement of the Scriptures, we might have hope. God gave us the Scriptures, including the people who struggled with their faith, so that you and I might have endurance encouragement, and hope in our faith journey. Scripture was given to us to help us learn from others about life with God and life with Christ. My hope and my prayer is that we never forget the value of Scripture to us. God has given us all these stories, all this information to help make us hopeful people. Well, until the next time, God bless all of you. Have a great September. We'll see you soon.